Thank you, Mr Deputy President. And today I rise to pay tribute to the authors of the Declaration of Independence, that tomorrow will be 248 years since that magnificent document was signed. And I think it is something that all people of the free world, especially those of us who believe in democracy, accountability and transparency, should reflect on. By putting their pen to that paper, the authors of that document actually risked their lives, and I'm not sure if many people realise that, but the American War of Revolution actually continued right through to 1781. So while they put these founding fathers put their pen to paper, they risked their lives to fight for what they believed in. And what I like about the American Revolution is that it's actually a manifestation of the European Enlightenment. And that European Enlightenment believed that power should come from the people. It sought to overturn the hereditary rights of kings and queens, whereby power came from top down, and instead it sought to introduce a system whereby power would come from the people. And that is something that we should continually reflect on. And I know in my time as a senator, I have come to appreciate this document more and more, because I realise how hard it is to change entrenched systems. And sometimes, it has to be said that people have to actually rise up and push back against the system. And something I want to reflect on, we see this all the time at the moment with various bureaucracies that seem to not want to be accountable to the people. And I know yesterday I just read an article in the Courier Mail by a guy called Mike O'Connor, and he was talking about a petition that was signed by thousands of Queenslanders asking the Queensland government to provide the health advice that was used to lock people down throughout the COVID pandemic. And of course, despite the fact that day in, day out for almost 2 years we were told that the Premier and all other Premiers, it wasn't just in Queensland, was relying on this advice, the Health Minister of the day had to actually come out and say they didn't actually have any paperwork or documentation to back up their health advice that was used to lock down people. Now, that's one of many examples, what I call the health machine. But I also, after reading that article yesterday, I read another article from an American columnist this morning, and he was talking about that he's slightly bothered by the fact that about a month ago 2 missiles were sent into Russia to take out their early detection nuclear signals to pick up whether or not they were going to be attacked by nuclear weapons. And as this author goes on to say, he said this wasn't approved by Congress and nor was it approved by the White House. And as he says that someone basically in the bowels of the bureaucracy has decided to lob a couple of missiles into Russia and hope for the best. And his concern is, well, I'm not quite sure that the founders of the American Declaration of Independence actually believe that these people who are unaccountable ought to be making decisions so important as this. And indeed, earlier this week I was at the spillover estimates for the CSIRO, and I wanted to ask some questions about the GenCost report. And lo and behold, Paul Graham, the author of the GenCost report, and Peter Mayfield, 2 of the senior CSIRO executives, didn't either bother turning up. So the CSIRO CEO was left there by himself, and when I wanted to ask him questions about the capacity of wind farms and what I consider to be flawed modelling used in the GenCost report, all he could do was say, I will take it on notice. I will take it on notice. And yet again, time and time again, we are seeing these bodies that are basically not representative of democracy. They should be representative, but they're not being held to account. Now, democracy is all about accountability and transparency. Indeed, there's a famous saying by a Roman philosopher, who will guard the guardians? And the question is, that is the question I put to you today on the anniversary, or soon-to-be anniversary, of the American Declaration of Independence. Who will guard the guardians? because for the last 3 or 4 decades we are seeing a decline in the level of accountability and transparency in our governments across Western worlds. And I believe that is destroying confidence in our political system. But can I say this to you, the people out there? You know, I hear from many of you every day, and you often raise lots of concerns, and one of the questions I often get is, why is the government doing this? Why is the government doing this? And the reason why the government doing this is that we lack the spirit of those founding fathers who were prepared to stand up and fight for what they believe in. It's not good enough to continually keep shouting at the clouds or keep sharing posts on social media and expect to get a different outcome. You have to actually get involved with the political process. Democracy is a grassroots movement, and it is only as good as how active those people will be in regards to the political process. And I often say to these people who are disenfranchised, well, are you part of a political party? And I'll go, oh, no, I'll never join the political party. I don't trust the political party. And then I'll respond to them, and sometimes, you know, it's quite abrupt, and I think they're quite surprised by my abruptness. But I'll say, well, you're a part of the problem, because if you're not prepared, if this stuff is eating you up inside, if you're not happy with the way your government is run, you have to actively get involved. You have to actively get involved. And it won't be easy. The founding fathers in that American War of Independence, it was that they signed that document in 1776, but the war didn't end until 1781. You know, and I'll reflect on World War II, because we should also acknowledge the supreme sacrifice of the American naval forces, who actually, you know, went a long way to saving Australia in the Pacific as well. These guys fought for their country. They were prepared to fight for what they believe in. So I urge on people out there today to consider, if you're not happy with the level of government that you're getting, or the quality of government you're getting, is to actually get involved. Because it's become too easy in this world to stay at home with in-house entertainment. You've got your iPhone, you've got your Netflix, etc., to stay at home and not go out and not get active. And if you don't get active, the grassroots movements get smaller and smaller, and the vested interests get bigger and bigger. And that is the last thing we want to see, are the vested interests, the entrenched interests, the elites take over. So I say to you people today, don't be afraid of the New World Order. This is the New World Order. Democracy is the New World Order. It was a New World Order put in place by the founding fathers of the American Revolution, of the American Declaration of Independence, and it's been worked on ever since. You know, we had the Chartists in 1840, we had the French Revolution in the 1790s, we had the suffragettes in the early 1900s. It has been a continual work in progress. But I fear that if you don't get involved, if you sit back on your social media and get too swamped by today's luxuries, and you know, we do have many luxuries, that the entrenched interests and the elites will once again take over, and tyranny rather than democracy will rule.
Authorised G. Rennick, LNP Chermside.